All right, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. First, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashema Mashiach wa Malak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world calls God, and Yahweh Shah is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. I want to give a strong Shalom to all the mighty men that's going out there laboring, man, putting their lives on the line to magnify the name of the Lord. And during the elements, right, the 100-degree weathers, the freezing below colds, and all demons and on the left-hand side trying to hinder the work of the Lord. I want to give another strong shalom to the mighty Akwaf that's at home, reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, tender, delicate, and on fire for the Lord. And last but not least, I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty children and teenagers in this thing as well, doing all they can to make their calling and election short in the last days, right? Shalom to Israelite Princess B, right? Judah Maya. Shalom, King. Right, and the topic of this video is, let's not play around, right? Because we're not playing around no more, man. We in 2022, the end of the world. Hey, this year, it could literally go down at any second, man. We're not in 2021 no more. We're not in 2019. Neither are we in 2016, right? We in 2022, man. So it says, let's not play around because we're not playing no more games, right? It says, are you a Proverbs 31 woman or not, right? Salakia, real fast. What's up?
She want her Fiji water. I'm trying to get
All right. Are you a Proverbs 31? Are you a Proverbs 31 woman or not, man?
you good.
Right? Salakia. All you do is men bash. Salakia, all you do is women bash. All you camps do is get on women. No, man, we get on Jake more than we do get on Eve. How are we women bashing? Right? If you a real righteous woman of the Lord, you will be corrected in the last days with no problem. Right? No exceptions. The real women of the Lord, they're going to be corrected. And as they be corrected, they're going to get examined and work on the things that they got to do in the last days. And you got a lot of women that's falling out the truth, man. It was just a sister on Instagram. She literally just said, I'm done with the truth. This is it, right? I can't take this anymore. And the Lord is killing a lot of women in the last days. A lot of women that's slothful. You got women talking back to their husbands, man. Throwing stuff at them as soon as they come into the door. And the Lord is revealing a lot of things in the last days, right? Now, let me get a precept. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. So let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16. Right, the God is killing a lot of women in the last days. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, right? Chapter 16. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and verse number. I'm going to start at verse. Salakia, 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, and verse number. Let me see what I want. 49. 2nd Esdras 16 and 49. It says what? Salakia. Leave that 2nd Esdras 15. 2nd Esdras. Second Esdras 16 and 49. Right? It reads, like as an whore envieth a right, honest, and virtuous woman. So a whore, meaning the women of this world, they envy a righteous, honest woman. You got to ask yourself, are you a virtuous woman? You got a lot of women saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a Proverbs 31 woman," and then they got it in their bio, right? It says virtuous woman only, no male DMs. The Lord is seeing in the last days who's really a virtuous woman or not. The Lord don't care about the harlots no more. That's over with. That's in the past. We don't give it. The Lord is not caring about that. The Lord want to see if you are honest, right, and virtuous woman. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 31. Right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 31 and verse number 10. Right? Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 10. Because you got a lot of slothful women in the truth, man. Right? You've been in the truth for 2 years and you only fast one time a month. And then got the nerve to talk back. Right? You got a certain women, they don't read at all. They got that shalom sis spirit. All you do is say shalom. You don't read. You don't know what's going on. All you know is Revelation 13 and 9. That's the only Bible verse that you know. I'm going to bring this up. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse number 10. Right? Proverbs 31 and 10. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? And this is a rhetorical question. Now, why did the Lord say who could find a virtuous woman? It's going to tell you why. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. See that? So the Lord said, who could find a virtuous woman? Not that you can't find a virtuous woman, but it's saying who could really find this woman? Her price is far above rubies. Last time I checked, man is not just going into his backyard and then all of a sudden he finds rubies in his backyard. When was the last time you went to the backyard and you just picked up a pile of rubies? Hey, that's not happening, man. That's why the Lord said who could find a virtuous woman. Why? Because it's very rare. You don't find women like Sarah in the Bible. Not in 2022. You don't find women that's like Esther. You don't find women that's like Susan's far above rubies. Last time I checked, you're not just picking up rubies in your damn backyard, man. Or you finding diamonds. So the Lord, he wants to see who's going to be virtuous. That's why it's titled, are you a Proverbs 31 woman or not? There's no in between. It's no, okay, I've been there 2 years and, it's either you are, and if you are a Proverbs 31 woman, all praises to the Most High. Right? You got to hold your due diligence. You got to stay on fire. There's no in between. You either are or you not. And if you're not a Proverbs 31 woman, then you got work to do. And we're going to go through Proverbs, the 31st chapter, man. Right? So like Satan trying to handle the word, but we got to bring it out. Right? So let's go to Proverbs. Let's keep reading. Proverbs 31 and verse number 10. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 10. It says, who could find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Verse 11. The heart of her husband doth sagely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. And for you women that's married, you got to ask yourself, can your husband truly trust you? Right? Can your husband trust you to make sure everything's in order? Like I said, you got a lot of women, they just talk a lot. You just talking all day. You don't know why you talking. You just talking. Soon as he come in from work, you saying, why you don't take me out? Why the dishes not washed? Hey, a man, he don't want to come back home to that, man. You got to make sure if you're married, your husband can safely trust in you. You got to be that pillar of rest. You got to be that woman that he can lay his head in her lap, man, and talk about everything he's been going through. Because the Israelite man, I don't know if y'all know, but the Israelite man, he catches hell in America every day. Literally every day. I mean, you got to go to work. You got to deal with the so-called white man and Esau. After that, guess what? He probably got to go to camp. You got to deal with scoffers, right? You gotta be, overseer of the congregation. It's a lot, man. So you want your husband to safely trust in you. Well, let's go to Sirach. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 14. Right? Sirach, chapter 26 and 14. It reads, Sirach, chapter 26 and 14. It reads, a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord. See that? So the Lord said a silent and loving woman. Not that you just have to be quiet, but sometimes you just got to keep your mouth closed. You got to know how to move like your foremothers. See, a lot of women, they don't know how to move. That's why they get jammed up all the time. They just move too fast. The Lord said a silent and loving woman, hey, that's a real gift. And the Heavenly Father, he's not handing out gifts. Last time I checked, he's not just handing out a gift to everybody. Right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 20. Right? So you have to know how to move with discretion. It's a time and a place for everything. You got to know when to talk, and got to know when to keep quiet. You don't want to be like Rasputia off of Norbit, man. You got a lot of Rasputias in the truth. Soon as your husband get home, you saying, where you been at? Where the hell you been at? Then you call him an N-word. And then next thing you know, y'all arguing over something that happened damn 10 years ago. You got a lot of Rasputias in the truth. Well, let's go to Sirach chapter 20. And it's good to go into these scriptures because it teaches you how to move. See, Susanna, she knew how to move. Rebecca, she knew how to move. Rachel, man. Esther, Phoebe, Lois, Anna. These women, they knew how to move. Why? According to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 20 and verse number 5. Sirach, chapter 20 and verse 5. It says, there is one that keepeth silence and is found wise, and another by much babbling becometh hateful. See, that's so it's a man. He's wise. Why? Because he's keeping his mouth silent. Let's go for the brothers as well. I'm pretty sure everybody they met, that one brother that they met in the world, all he did was talk. He didn't know how to just shut his mouth. He's talking about women. Then he's talking about money. Then he's talking about how you got to get a car. Then he's talking about how you got to get new. Hey, the Lord is not dealing with that. That's the same way for a woman. It says, some man holdeth his tongue because he have not to answer. Right? Some people, they just be quiet because they don't know what to say. They don't have to answer the things. So rightfully, they just, kind of be quiet. That's the point. It says, and some keep silence, knowing his time. You want to make sure you that woman to keep silence, knowing your time. Knowing when to speak. Knowing when to not speak. Knowing when to use subtlety, discretion. You got to know how to move in these last days, man. Why? Because you're not going to have your husband all the time. Your husband, he might be a martyr for the Lord. Right? Your husband, he might die in a famine, God forbid. Or something might happen to where you have kids and you got to be able to hold down the household. And if you're not married, you should still pick up these tips. And you should strive to get married to a man of the Lord. It says what? Verse 7. A wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. You got a lot of babblers and foolish women in this truth, man. Right? And the Lord is actually killing a lot of women. I don't know if y'all know, but the Lord is killing a lot of wicked women. So you got to make sure you that woman to get your life preserved. Right? Let's go back to Proverbs. So let's go back to Sirach 26. Right? Let's go back to the book of Sirach. chapter 26. Right? This is Iraq chapter 26 and verse 14 again. A silent and a loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much as a mind well instructed. As a woman, you got to say, is your mind right? A lot of women, their mind is not right. They thinking about gym shoes. Then they thinking about how they want to post on Snapchat, want to watch TikTok. A lot of women, they mind is not right. You want to make sure your mind is well instructed. You focusing first and foremost on the Heavenly Father and His Word. Like I said, you got a lot of women, they don't read at all. One chapter for the whole month. Or the verse of the day. You want to make sure your mind as a woman is well instructed. Make sure it's focused on the Lord. Then secondly, how to please your husband and take care of the household. See, these women in 2022, their mind is not right. They focus on Meg Thee Stallion. How many different men can they sleep with? How many blunts can they roll? And the Lord is not dealing with that. Neither do the Lord care about that. And the Lord is saving righteous and sincere women in the last days. Right, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 31. Right, this is Proverbs chapter 31 and verse number 12. It says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. See that? And that's plain, man. A real woman of the Lord, she would do her husband good all the days of her life. No evil. No attitude problems. No talking back. No not serving the Lord. You got to make sure not only is you doing your husband good, you doing that Most High, the Heavenly Father good. Right? A lot of women, they just, well, I got to do this for my husband. What about the Most High? What about the Heavenly Father that brought you into the truth? What are you doing for him? You don't check on your sisters. You just say, well, they'll check on me one day. They don't never check on me. And you better be calling up the Akwaf, man. Shalom says, how you doing? How you feeling through the spirit? You need to go on a fast? What's going on? This and that. And you got to call and check up on. You got to be your sister's keeper in the last days. Because sisters is going through it as well as the men are. It says what? She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. A lot of women, you don't, be honest, you don't work willingly. Your husband got to tell you to do stuff. And if you don't have a husband, you just won't do it. The Lord, he could be sending you signs. Okay, you need to read. You need to get studying in. You need to get a fast in at least once a week. The Lord is sending you signs. You're not working willingly. Let's go to the book of Acts. It says she seeketh wool and flax and working willingly with her hands. You want to be the woman to work willingly with your hands. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. Right? Go to the book of Acts chapter 9 and verse number 36. Meaning what? You want to take initiative. That's what it's going into. You want to take initiative. I tell brothers this all the time. You know, I know every brother, you know, some women, they just coming into the truth, you know, fresh in. But your husband shouldn't have to tell you to read. Right? That's just me. If I had a woman, I shouldn't have to tell her to read. Right? You should be so in love with the Most High and love towards the Heavenly Father that you're going to take the initiative to read by yourself. You got to be like, man, I got to read. Ain't no exceptions. The Lord, he brought me out of the world. A lot of women used to be, you know, harlots in the world. Right? A lot of women, you know, used to gamble. Used to be in tarot card readings. Okay, I'm a Gemini. In the zodiac signs, I'm a Gemini. I'm an Aquarius. A lot of women used to do that, man. And the Lord brought you out of that into the truth. And you telling me you don't want to read for him? You don't want to study for him? You don't want to afflict your soul and get your prayers heard on high? The real women of the Lord, they gonna love the Lord so much. They gonna do things with initiative. So like I said, you know, your husband shouldn't have to tell you to read, man. Only thing your husband should be having to saying is, okay, what book you in? Then you kind of say, well, I'm in Psalms. And then now you chopping it up with your husband. You like, okay, Psalm, yeah, that's a mighty book. Then y'all going through the precepts together. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be, well, did you read your 3 chapters today? And you say, well, I was kind of tired. I didn't get a chance to read my 3 chapters. Hey, that's off, man. Right, let me get this in Acts chapter 9. Right? It's the book of Acts chapter 9 and verse 36. Acts chapter 9 and 36. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms seeds, which she did. So you had Tabitha Dorcas, man. She was full of good works. And guess what? Those works, nobody didn't have to tell her to give alms. No, she did it by herself. She did it willingly. Verse 37. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in an upper chamber. And as for much as Lydia was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. See that? So they sending up men. They said, okay, Dorcas, she's dead. Tabitha, she's dead. Verse 39. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the windows stood by him weeping, and shewing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. See that? So this woman, she was full of good works. Willingly works. You didn't have to tell her to work, man. You didn't have to tell her to do the work of the Lord. Guess what? She made coats, garments. Let's go to Romans chapter 16. So you got to take these accounts and you got to learn from them. You got to apply them. And that's what's going to make certain women stand out in the last days. You're going to really see who's applying these precepts to be like their foremothers. And then you're going to see who's just really talking about these things but not really doing them. Certain women, they're going to stand out in the last days. All right, let's go to the book of Romans. Right. Let's go to the book of Romans. Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 16 and verse number 1. Romans 16 and 1. I commend unto you Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the church which is at Cenchrea. So Phoebe, she was a servant. She was a servant of the Lord, most important. It says verse 2, that ye receive her in the Lord as becometh saints, and that ye resist her and whatsoever business she have need of you. So she was so on fire that you had Paul in the Bible. And Paul, he's a part of the elect, man. He will be ruling in the kingdom of heaven. Now, Paul, he literally mentioned her name. Hey, a lot of women, you don't have a good name. As a woman, that's the first thing you gotta have regard to your name, man. Everybody know about Keisha on the block, man. Now, why do everybody know about Keisha on the block? That's because she doesn't have a good name. What she stands for, her reputation. You got to make sure your name is clean. Well, let me hold this real fast. Let's go to the book of history of Susanna. Right? Let's go to the book of history of Susanna. I believe I want verse 23, verse 25. Right? Let's go to the book of history of Susanna, verse number 25. Right? It's the book of history of Susanna, verse number 26. Right? It says, so when the servants of the house heard the cry in the garden, they rushed in at a private door to see what was done to her. Now, we all know the story of Susanna, right? If you haven't read it, I'm not going to read the whole thing. That's something you need to read. It says, but when the elders had declared their matter. Now, the elders, they lied on Susanna. They said that she slept with another man, which she really didn't. But they only did that because she didn't want to sleep with them. It says, but when the elders had declared their matter. So they saying, well, yeah, Susanna, she got caught sleeping with another man. You didn't hear that scream? You didn't just hear that? What just happened? Reading on, it says the servants were greatly ashamed. So these servants, they was ashamed. It was like, well, what are you talking about? Now, why were these servants greatly ashamed? Was they ashamed because, you know, they heard somebody screaming, then their eardrum down bust open, then they start crying? No, it's going to tell you why these servants were ashamed. It says, for there was never such a report made of Susanna. Now, what does that mean? That means when they first heard this, when those elders said, well, Susanna such and so, they said, what? Nah, that can't be Susanna. Why? Because she had a good name. She had a good reputation. There was nothing you could say bad about her. That's why it says, I'm going to read it again. For there was never such a report made of Susanna. Meaning nobody gave a bad report about Susanna. You women got to check yourself. Is your name good in this thing? Does men have things to say about you? Another man shouldn't be saying, well, you know, she got one-sided eyes. She likes to look at other men at the feast days. And you got certain women, they got a husband and they jumping at other men at the feast days. Then she kind of sit down. She accidentally sit in another brother's lap. Then she say, oops, my bad. I didn't see you right there. And the Lord not dealing with that, man. That's wicked. Right? She kind of sit there. She said, my bad. Then she laughing and giggling. You got women that pull up to the feast days talking to another man. So there was never such a report made against Susanna. You got to make sure your name is good. That's another step, man, to being on fire. Make sure there's nothing bad that somebody can say about you. Now, going back to Romans 16:1, right? Romans chapter 16:1. It's like Romans 16:2 again. It says that ye receive her in the Lord as becoming saints, and that ye assist her in whatever business she have need of you. For she have been a securer of many, and of myself also. Now that word securer, when you look it up, it's just going into somebody that's there in a time of a hard estate, in a time of hardship. So guess what? Phoebe, she was there when all hell was breaking loose for other sisters. She was there for her sisters. How many women could actually say, I actually call up and I check on my sister? I see how she's doing. Is everything in the marriage going correctly? How are the kids? A lot of you women, you're not your sister's keepers, man. You just care about yourself. How fancy your dress is on the feast days. It says she have been a securer of many, and of myself also. So guess what? This woman, she helped out Paul, man. She was there. She was assisting him. You need this. You need that. And that's for you women that's not married. Hey, help as much as you can to the congregation. You want to, like I said, you want to stand out. A lot of women, they don't stand out. What's going to make you stand out as a woman is the laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to the book of Judith. Right? Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 11. right? Let's go to the book of Judith, chapter 11. All right. It's the book of Judith, chapter 11, and verse number 20. Right? We bring this out a lot. Judith, chapter 11, and verse number 20. Then her words pleased Holofernes and all his servants, and they marveled at her wisdom. What is wisdom? Keeping the commandments. The fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of wisdom. I tell you in Judith 8 and 6, Judith was a woman that feared the Lord. So what's going to make you stand out as a woman is your way of keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Not only that, being a helpmeet to the husband, doing all you can, laboring. It says, and said, there is not such a woman from one end of the earth to the other, both for beauty of face and wisdom of words. See that? So Judith, man, she stood out. Judith just wasn't an average female. She wasn't just your Keisha on the block. No, Judith, she stood. I said men marveled at her. Hey, let me get this real fast in Judith chapter 16. Hey, it said many men desired Judith. Right? It's the book of Judith, chapter 16, and verse number 22. Judith chapter 16 and verse 22. It says, and many desired her, but none knew her all the days of her life. So Judith, she had a high level of discretion. It said many men desired her. And you know how Jake is for a female. Jake see a female, he saying, no, that's me. No, that's me. You know how Jake is in the world. It said many men desire. But guess what? None knew her all the days of her life. She dedicated herself and her life to serving the Lord, man. That says a lot. It says, after that, Manasseh, her husband, was dead and was gathered to his people. Hey, this is a point. Verse 23. But she increased more and more in honor and waxed old in her husband's house. So Judith, she increased more and more in honor. Now, as a woman, you got to ask yourself, are you increasing more and more in your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? Keeping the commandments? You got women 2 years in the truth and don't know how to proclaim a fast with the precepts. Another sister, she come up and she say, Shalom, sis. I'm kind of new to this thing. How do you go on a fast? And then a woman, she been in 2 years in the truth and she looking for a precept all the way in second Esdras about proclaiming a fast, man. And saying, well, yeah, in second Esdras 16, I'm trying to look for it. And she's stuck. No, you should be increasing. You should be inquiring knowledge. Hey, you got to be a leader to the sister. A real woman of the Lord, she's going to be a leader to the younger women. Let's get that in Titus. Right? Let's get that in the book of Titus. You got a lot of men, too, saying women can't teach. What are you doing, Art? Women can't teach. No, brother. Brother, women have to teach the younger women. So, yes, they can teach. They could teach the younger women and they could teach the children. That's what they have to do. Women just can't lead congregations. That's all. But they're required to teach the younger women and the children. How you going to teach the younger women and you don't know the precepts? Let's go to the book of Titus, chapter 2. This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, and verse number 3. Right? Titus chapter 2 and verse number 3. It says, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers. So as a woman, you don't want to be a false accuser. You just accusing sisters of doing stuff that they're not doing. You saying, no, she did steal the cheesecake at the feast day. Sister, no, why are you lying? That's what you called wickedness and evil works. The Lord not dealing with that. So it says not false accusers, right? It says not giving too much wine, right? You don't want to be a woman giving too much wine. You know, you killing 3-4 bottles of Mogan David at the feast days. Come on, sister. You know, have you 1-2 cups? Okay, you're good. It says teachers of good things, that they may teach the younger women to be sober. Now, how you gonna teach your younger women and you don't know how to damn proclaim a fast? A sister asks you how to pray, and then you looking for the precept of how to pray all the way in the book of damn Genesis. And you saying, well, I'm trying to look for that precept. It says women have to pray with their head covered. And you've been in the truth for 3 years. A lot of women, you got to check yourself. You got to make sure you're increasing more and more. It says that they may teach the younger women to be sober. Why? Because we don't have any teachers. We don't have any leaders of the women nowadays. I mean, you see the leaders of our women. You see them today. Cardi B. Those are the so-called leaders. Cardi B. You got JT and the City Girls. Right? And the Lord not dealing with JT, man. You got damn Cardi B. You got Nicki Minaj. And all of these other women that's dressing promiscuously, and they don't care. Go tell JT from the City Girls, hey sister, you gotta put on a dress. You think she wanna hear that? No, she gonna say, you better get out of my face. So you gotta make sure, every woman should strive to rise up like Deborah and be a leader in Israel, a leader to the younger women, to the women, just because you got a lot of younger women coming in. And it's chiefly going into the age women, for the women that's up there in age. But there's nothing wrong for a woman if she's in her 20s, to try to strive to be a leader for the younger woman could look up to. It says to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet. Yeah, you gotta move with discretion in this truth. You don't just meet a brother, right? You meet a brother, and you meet him in a grocery store, and he got fringes on, and you kind of say shalom, and he say shalom, sister, and then y'all kind of exchange numbers, and then the second day y'all go out to dinner, and you telling them everything that happened to you in your whole life, and then you sleep with them on the 4th day. Sister, that's not being discreet. You don't have to tell everybody. I say this all the time. You don't have to tell everybody your business. You don't have to just let it out on the first date. And women, they got a tendency of doing that. Just saying too much. You're just saying too much. You don't have to tell the brother what happened to you at 3 years old. How that such and such and such happened. I got kicked out of my mom's house. Sister, you don't have to say all of that. Have a little bit of discretion. It says chase, right? Chase, chastity. I got different definitions. But chastity. It said Esdras had chastity from his youth when you read 2nd Esdras. Meaning abstaining from sexual intercourse. Now, you could have a husband, you could kind of do what you do. That's between you and your husband. But you don't want to be a woman. You got women, they got 14 so-called, and this is what they say nowadays, bodies. You got 14 bodies in the truth. You sleeping with the bishop. Now you sleeping with the damn deacon. Now you sleeping with the soldiers. Hey, that's not being chaste, man. It says keepers at home. Now, a lot of women, they try to say, well, I don't believe in that Bible. It says I got to stay at home all day. Sister, you don't have to stay at home all day. If you want to go get groceries and get things for the household, albeit, you got to take that up with your husband. That's not just saying you got to stay at home. But that saying is, you don't need to be all in the streets how these women is now. You got women, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and they up loud in the streets shaking their butt. No, you want to chiefly be at home. Doing what? Reading, getting time in with the Lord. And if you ask me, I don't like going outside, man. It's too much wickedness outside. Brothers would tell you. A brother have told me, he said, man, you need to come out of that room. Right? Hey, my dad said, you always in that room, man. Go outside. Right? Hey, I don't want to leave the house. It's just too much. You go to the gas station. You might go to the gas station to get some chips. Then you got Jake in the gas. I kid you not, this actually happened. You got Jake in the gas station. He luring the Eve in to try to sleep with him on the first day. Then you got Eve coming out. She dressing all like, you can't even go out to the gas station, man. It's too much wickedness on the earth. So chiefly, you want to be at home. It's too much going on out here, man. Too many spirits. It says, obedient to their own husbands, right? You want to be obedient to them in righteousness, that the word of God be not blasphemed. So if you're not doing these things that it just named, guess what? You could blaspheme the word of the Lord. And you know what happens when you blaspheme the word of the Lord, right? Hey, that could be it for you. Next thing you know, you back in the world. And you don't give a damn. Right? So let's go back to Proverbs chapter 31. Right? Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 31 and finish this out. Right? Are you a Proverbs 31 woman or not? It's the book of Proverbs chapter 31 and verse number 14. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. Right? Verse 15. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. So this woman, she was rising up at night. She was just on fire, literally. She was literally on fire. She couldn't stop doing the work. She couldn't stop being a helpmeet, a servant. It says, verse 16, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planted a vineyard. And that just lets you know the state of this Proverbs 31 woman. Her mind was right. Like I said, a lot of you women, your mind is not right. This woman, she said she considereth a field. She's investing in certain things. She know the household, it got to get freshened up. So guess what? She investing in certain things for the household. Like I said, you got a lot of women, they mind, I got to get the next Jordans. I got to get the next Nikes. That's all they think about. I got to have this. I got to have that watch. Hey, get your mind right spiritually. Hey, I got to get more faith. These are the things you should be saying. I got to get more faith. I got to get more courage, more boldness. I got to get more patience. I got to fast for this. That's how you should be. That's the things you should be saying. That's how your mind should be. You got to focus on the things above. That's Colossians 3:1. If ye be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. So you want to meditate on heavenly things, on your treasure in heaven. Reading on, it says, she girdeth her loins with strength and strengthen her arms. Yeah, you want to be a woman that has a lot of strength and courage. A lot of women, they just real shy. They don't talk. They don't say nothing. They just don't want to do nothing. You want to have that strength. Have that courage in you, like Esther. It says, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. And that's literal, but that's spiritual on another fold. It says, her candle goeth not out by night. A lot of women, you getting your candlestick blown out in the night. It's flickering. You don't know what to do. You don't know if the Lord is hearing your prayers or not. Hey, this woman, she was on fire. Her candle wasn't going out by night. Let's go to the book and the scriptures. We're going to find out. Right? Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 27. Proverbs, chapter 20 and 27. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. See that? So your spirit, that's the candle for a man and for a woman. So if your candlestick is your spirit, that means your spirit is not going out, meaning your spirit is always burning. It's on fire. You can't wait to read. You can't wait to teach his children. Hey, you got certain women, you know, hey, that's all they doing is teaching the children about Yahweh Shai, raising them up mighty, right? Teaching them about the acts of Judas Maccabees. You got certain women, they do that. They're literally guiding the household. Proverbs 31 and 19. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth with her hands to the needy. And what is that going into? That's going into charity, man. Not only giving alms, helping out the poor, helping out the motherless, the women that don't have any mothers. On a spiritual, on a physical level, they might not have a mother, but they might have a physical mother, but they mom in the world twerking somewhere. So you gotta. Verse 21. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Verse 22. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. And it's going into ancient materials in the ancient world, like scarlet, silk. This is what we were decked out with. Now Eve want to be decked out in that Gucci. I need that Prada. That's what they tell their husband. This is going into the ancient materials in the ancient world. And purple is a royal color. Verse 23. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth amongst the elders of the land. See that? So guess what? Her husband, he's known in the gates. What are the gates? That's where the wise men are at. Like in Genesis 19 and 2, Lot was sitting in the gates, meaning he was up there in stature. So guess what? Men were more favored because of their woman. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 36. Slacky, let's go to Sirach, chapter 21. Right. Sirach, chapter 21. And verse number 8. Right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 21. And verse number 8. It readeth. Sirach 21 and 8. I'm going to start at verse. It's like Sirach chapter 25. That's what I wanted. Sirach chapter 25 and verse 8. Right? Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha, chapter 25 and verse number 8. It says, well is him that dwelleth with a wife of understanding. See that? So a man, he could literally be talked about righteously because of the things that his woman is doing. Men can say, oh, that's such and such wife. That's that. Just like with Judah. Men were saying, oh yeah, that's Manasseh's wife. That's his wife. Why? Because they were so on fire, they were making their husband to be well favored. That just shows a lot about their character. You gotta have character in this truth, man. You gotta be sincere, honest. Let's go to the book of Psalms, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, right? I'm trying to move fast for the sake of time. I gotta get back in here in a few. But let's go to Psalms chapter 51 and verse, right? Psalms 51, and I want verse number. Psalms 51 and verse number 6. Right? It's the book of Psalms, chapter 51 and verse number 6. It says, behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts. So the Lord, he's desired a woman and a man, but chiefly we talking about the woman now. He desires truth in the inward parts. How is your spirit? Are you sincere? Are you of a pure spirit? A contrite heart? That's what the Lord is looking for, man. The Lord, he don't care about looks. It tell you that in Proverbs 31 and 30. The Lord don't give a damn about how good you look. We could just get that out. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking comely and fair, but that's not, the Lord, he don't really care about that as much as your spirit. How is your spirit, man? Let's go to history of Susanna. All right. Let's go to the book of history of Susanna. Verse number 63. All right. Let's go to the book of history of Susanna. It's the book of history of Susanna. Verse number 63. And read. Salakia. History of Susanna, verse 63. And read. It says, therefore Chelseas and his wife praised God for their daughter Susanna, with Joachim her husband, and all the kindred, because there was no dishonesty found in her. See that? So Susanna, it was no dishonesty in that woman. She was an honest and pure woman. Meaning, not that she probably never told a lie, but it's rare. She was honest. She was pure. There was no dishonesty found in her. You got to ask yourself, are you honest? Do you have a lying problem? A backbiting spirit? You're just not sincere. These are the questions you got to ask yourself, man. And every woman should have goals that they want to pursue in the truth. If you want to fast more, hey, that could be your goal, man. If you want to read more, that could be your goal. If you want to help out the ministry and the congregation, hey, that could be your goal. If you want to teach the younger women and rise up as a leader, hey, that could be your goal. Every woman should have goals in this truth. And if you don't have goals, you need to check yourself immediately. This is very important. This is one of the most important things that I'm about to say in this video. You have to have goals, man. If you don't have goals, you're going to be stagnant and you're not going to prosper or grow. You need to have goals. If you got to write it out, there's nothing wrong with writing it out. There's nothing wrong with getting a piece of paper, sitting down, actually meditating on the precepts and write out things that you could get to or work on and get to the next level. That's a good mindset. Brother, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 31. And let's finish this out. Proverbs chapter 31 and verse number 24. Proverbs 31 and 24. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. And anything that's coming out of your mouth, it should be wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Right? The godly discourse of a man is always with wisdom. That's Iraq 20 and 27, man. So how much more for a woman? The same thing applies. You want wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that come out of your mouth. It says, verse 27, she looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Yeah, she just not sitting around and say it's nothing to do. What you want me to do? No, even if it's not, and they tell you that at the workplace. Even if it's not, you got the job done, and you still got to move to make it seem like you're not doing nothing. Esau tell you that, man. She's not idle. It says her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. See that? It says many daughters have done virtuously. Meaning you got many women on fire. Many women are doing what they're supposed to do. Many women, they're done virtuously. But it's something about this woman in this chapter. She excels every other woman. Why is that? What's so significant about her? What's so significant about this woman in Proverbs 31? Because she excelled all other women. You got to be the woman to excel in righteousness. To stand up, stand out. Right? Just like with these men. You see certain brothers, they stand out. Like priest Kahan. He stands out. He's not just the ordinary man. You got priest Zabak. You got certain of the Chief Ephraim. You got certain of these men, they stand out. They're rising up. That's how you got to be as a woman. Like Deborah. She rose up, a mother in Israel. Read on, verse 30. Favor is deceit, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Yeah, that's plain, man. The Lord said beauty is vanity. But it's all about a woman that truly fears the Lord. Verse 31, give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Right? And I want to get another precept, and I want to touch on another point. Right? As a woman, you got to know how to flee from temptation. Like, these are the questions you got to ask yourself. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I know how to flee from temptation? Because like I said earlier, the Lord is taking a lot of women out of truth. The Lord is killing a lot of women in the truth as well. Why? They don't know how to move, man. It's just simple. When Satan makes itself manifest, they don't know how to move when it comes to dealing with the spiritual demon Satan. You got to ask yourself, do you know how to flee from temptation? Because a real woman of the Lord, she's going to know how to flee in the last days. She's going to say, okay, that's Satan. That's Satan. Guess what? Let me move this way. Let me bring out the precepts. Let's go to the book of Galatians. All right. Let's go to the book of Galatians, chapter 5. Right? It's the book of Galatians, chapter 5, and verse number 18. It's like it. Galatians 5. Let me see what I want. I believe that's 26. Galatians chapter 5 and verse number 25. Right? It's the book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse number 25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. So as a woman, what's going to make you stand out again? The way you move. Are you a spiritual woman? Are you seeing everything with a spiritual eye? Okay, that sister, she's trying to come up to me with folly. That's Satan. Let me bring out this precept. Or, hey, what if God forbid this happens, but what if your husband come in one day and he got a blunt in his hand? That's something that he deal with, and he got a blunt in his hand. And he said, you know what? You want to smoke this? Then he starts smoking it in front of your face. And I'm led to believe a lot of women, they going to pick up what their husband do and damn smoke the blunt. No, you have to be like, that's spiritual. And then you got to go to the precept, 1 Corinthians 3:16. No, we can't be smoking. Then you need to probably reach out to a sister so they could reach out to a brother to get that brother help. Why? Because that weed demon is creeping back up on him. So you have to be spiritual as a woman and move through with discretion, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the precepts in the last days. Right? And with that, we giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh. I got to wrap it up and and kind of get back in here. Lord willing, you was edifying. It's like your Lord willing, you was edified. Keep reading, praying, fasting, and studying, and doing all you can to magnify the name of the Lord in the last days. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.